they come out with their first map sometime. Was it December? Is that right? Or November?
It would have been November, yeah.
And there's just like these districts, and you see the outrage on Twitter and stuff like that. I really love those like mega districts they did.
Well, it's kind of funny. So that was just people ripping these districts on Twitter, and one of the kind of hot takes people had was like, this district's so big, like it goes from San Bernardino to the Oregon border,
right.
blah 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 blah. And I had pushback on it, not from like a client perspective or from like a Democrat or Republican perspective, but this is the reality. Rural areas don't have a lot of people.
Right.
When you're drawing a rural district, you have two choices. You either make it huge, but make sure that like every part of that district is going to have rural populations, or you make them smaller, but every district now is going to have 30% of its population, maybe 90% of its footprint geographically, but maybe 30% of its population be rural. And it's going to have this finger that goes into an urban area.
Right.
And who's going to get elected in that district? The urban representative. Like when you look at who's representing these rural communities, is it more important that their representative is somebody that's nearby them, or is it more important that it's somebody who's representative of those kind of rural issues? And so that's the challenge, is like people would say, this district's horrible, it's so huge.
Right.
And I'd be like, okay, I lived in Independence, California. Like, where do you want Independence to have its member of Congress come from? Do you want its member of Congress to come from, Santa Clarita? Do you want its member of Congress to come from, downtown Fresno? Do you want its member of Congress to come from Redding? Like, people in Independence, if you put 10 people from Independence in a room with 10 people from Redding, I guarantee you they get along a lot more and have a lot of the same interests than 10 people in Independence and 10 people who live like, in a kind of more urban center that they could be drawn into,
right.
So, and there was even a version of plans that would have like districts go from, North LA County, like around, La Cañada, La Crescenta, Sunland, Tujunga, and have those be put in with like up in the high desert. And it's like, you're ensuring that somebody from those more connected communities that can raise money and have, that power will be representing these people. So it's a challenge how you do that.
I appreciated that on Twitter when you were defending the mega districts.
Well, and it's also and the districts one of the districts I dislike the most, right. And I had to push back on actual commissioners and people on this, and it was tough, but like there's this new majority minority district that is in San Benito County, so very heavy farm worker Latino community, parts of Monterey County, and it's a majority minority district. But in order to get to the majority minority number and meet the equal population requirement, they had to go all the way up into San Jose and have this finger go in Alum Rock and parts of San Jose, including where they're going to build the new Googleplex, which is going to be a housing complex for Google workers. It's going to be 25,000 people. And that district, I don't believe, will ever elect somebody who's from the farm worker community.
Right.
It is always going to elect somebody from Silicon Valley. And that district could be better represented by a district that might not even be a majority minority district, but was more like San Benito, Monterey, maybe Santa Cruz, something like that has more of that, where farm worker interest would be a greater portion of it. And they now have two districts. Both the districts that go up from Monterey dive in and go into San Jose, and San Jose could elect, 4 members of Congress and represent areas all the way, up into San Mateo County and down to San Luis Obispo County.
Wow.
And they'd all be like, their number 1, 2, and 3 priorities would be San Jose centric.
Make sure you click the button below and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with all our news and updates.
Are called dreamers.